I'm Alex.
I'm Dan,
We're the Ragamuffins, and we love live music.
and we want to find out what makes a perfect gig.
Every episode, we're going to invite on a guest. They're going to tell us their dream four-man gig from opener to headliner, and we'll have a little chat along the way.
On this episode, we had a chat with Dom from Ithaca.
We talk about their incredible 2022 album, They Fear Us, plans for the rest of this year, and so much more. If you're a fan of Ithaca, you can enjoy a special evening with Ithaca on November 25th at the Dome in London. They'll be playing their album, They Fear Us, in full with guest musicians and vocalists. It's going to be a very special night.
Our first question, I guess, is to start at the beginning. What's the first gig you ever went to?
First gig, it's a difficult one because I know I went to like some local ones and weird stuff. And probably went to some with my parents that I don't really remember. The first one that I went to, bought a ticket to, and like went with my pals was Mudvayne with Sixth supporting, and I want to say like Taproot and Fallen too. It was like a wild new metal lineup. It was when we were like 13 or something. I can't remember the venue now. It's somewhere in London, maybe the Forum, something like that. And it was the first place I remember being able to buy alcohol as well. Like, and the bar staff not caring.
I was going to say legally, or I suppose we can't disclose.
You know,
Let's not get anyone in trouble now.
yeah, no, I mean, like, I feel like the statute of limitations, that one's gone since it was 20, maybe 23, 24 years ago. Yeah, sitting in the seated section upstairs with my friends, just necking pints and wilding out to just like new metal bangers. Yeah, it was good.
Was it the sort of gig where, because we've had the experience where that first gig, especially a heavy gig, is like almost a life-changing moment, like this is the path now. Was it that feeling for you?
I feel like I'd already been set down that path a little earlier. For my birthday that year, or it might have been Christmas, they're around the same sort of time. Usually combine my presents when I was a kid. I'll be, I'll get something cool and I'll combine them. And I was either going to get decks because I was really into garage, or get a guitar because I was getting into like metal and stuff. And I went with the guitar and started playing. And then I think that just set me on that path for life. I'd like to think if I'd gone down the other way, I'd be like a world famous like garage DJ. But you know, you do the best with what you got.
That almost makes it sound like a video game where you've kind of got to choose like what character tree you're going to go down.
Yeah, pretty much. Which skill tree am I investing in? And it was at that point drinking and playing guitar rather than like banging pills and doing like DJing.
Awesome. Well, before we get into your perfect gig, we want to talk a bit about They Fear Us, which was a fantastic album. And the thing that really stuck out to me was that it's an album that's got a lot of aggression, a lot of rage in it, but it's also got a lot of like catharsis and hope. I'm curious to hear what the writing process was like for you guys, and if you were aware that those two different sort of feelings were coming through as you were writing.
Well, it's an interesting one. I joined the band like in 2020 when writing had already begun. They'd been writing previously. I joined when their previous bass player left. I'd filled in on a tour, so I sort of came in when writing had started. And I've been like a fan of the band for years. I'd done art for previous releases, done merch. Were the label that they put out their first like couple of things, not Holy Royal, was based in like the restaurant I ran. So I've always had like a close link. They've always been good pals. So I came in and heard the bits that I'd written. I was like, oh, this is sick. This is exactly what I want to hear as someone who loves this band. But then we were writing over lockdown, you know. It wasn't the same as usual, you know, when you're writing in a band where you're all meeting up and playing stuff together. It was sending ideas here and there. And then when restrictions eased, we'd book like a few days in an Airbnb somewhere in the UK, like seaside, and just get together, hug each other, which was nice, and then just try and write some stuff. And I think had that not happened, had that writing process just been the same as usual and the album would come out sooner, I think it would have been a lot angrier. I think we had that time to really reflect. Like, it's still pissed off. It's still, you know, coming from a place of hurt, but it's more about how you recover from that, how you move forward, how you can build. And I think, going through like a collective trauma that you do in lockdown, it really changed the way we thought about stuff. And it also meant that we took more risks in the writing. That's why it's more experimental. Because we just thought, we've got this time. Why not try these slightly weirder ideas, and see what happens?
For you, so if you joined during the lockdown, then was your first gig with the band once the restrictions were lifted?
No, I actually, my first ones was supposed to be on a tour with Jamie Lemon, and the day before we set off for that, both my kidneys failed, and I had to go into hospital. And I actually missed the next tour I did was the Big Thief one, which was insane. But I missed the UK dates because I didn't know if I'd be well enough by that point. But I ended up doing the European one, so it meant that I'd gone from having a couple of practices the year before to playing, a 3,000 cap sold out venue, to a bunch of like indie folk fans.
I was going to say that's an odd band for you guys to be billed with.
Yeah, well, it's sick. Apparently, they just like reached out to us, like messaged, and were like, "We listened to you in the dressing room to get hyped up," and then just asked us to come out. I love mixed bills. I love stuff where it's just like a weird choice. I think there was like a through line in terms of like the emotional resonance in the music. Like, it might not sound the same, but I think like Jamila was talking about a lot of the same stuff. I think there was a connection there. So yeah, I went off and did that one, which after like the previous tour I'd done was like DIY bands, so sleeping on floors and playing to 20 people in a squat. So it was a big step up.
So let's get away from music, from album talk for a bit. Let's get into this band lineup that you've got for us. What is your opening band on your perfect gig?
Okay, so I struggled with the idea of what I was going to do for this opening band, and like for the theme or like the general vibe of the show.
This is one of our favourite things about doing this, is everyone seems to have a different interpretation of how to do it. Some people like go for their four favourite bands. Some people try and like curate a lineup, like going from small bands to big ones. It's always really interesting.
That's the way I was looking, because I was like, yeah, I could just put my four favorite bands on and it'd be great. I'd have an amazing time at the show. Or I could have like a really curated one where everything sort of like flows one to another. Also very cool. The way I saw it was, this is my perfect show. I'm gonna book four bands that I wish I'd got to see and I never did. Or some of them are back now, still going, but I've never seen them. So to open things off, I was going to pick Pulling Teeth, amazing Holy Terror A389 band. Like so good. I think the best that ever did that sound of just like really ferocious metallic hardcore, really punk, really vegan, which is sick, but with dumb guitar solos and harmonies and stuff, and just like super hard merch as well, so I can pick up a bunch after the show.
I've thought about everything there, merch and all.
Are there any sort of specifics for their set that you would like?
Yeah, From Birth is like a huge banger. It's got guest vocals from the singer of TUI, who I haven't put on this bill, but maybe I should have, so I could have guaranteed him. He's going to be at this show anyway.
He can be there, yeah.
So he jumps on to do that bit. And then Dead is Dead, which when like I first heard that and I was like more militant in my like veganism and stuff. And I was like a militant straight edge kid as well. It was just like the perfect combination of just being like, this is a message that I agree with, and it's so horrible and intense, and you can spin kicks onto it.
Back to your own live shows now. There's quite a lot of aggression on They Fear Us, and your live performances as well are always incredibly intense. Do you guys sort of get a chance to relax and enjoy your performance and take it in, or are you sort of overcome with a bit of aggression and fierceness?
It's the more we play this album, the more we get to relax into it. When we first toured it, we hadn't really played it together. Even though we'd written it and we'd recorded it, we hadn't really played it. So it was the headline tour that we did was the first time really getting out, playing a load of the songs. And it's interesting. I think if you see any videos or clips from that, you can see us all, especially like I notice it in me, playing the new songs and standing pretty static to play them, and then it's just an old song, and I'm just like, yeah, let's go. I don't need to care. Like it's all muscle memory. So now I'm just so much more relaxed in it. It's like it's really cathartic. There's parts where I know just like I don't need to like think about what I'm playing at all here, so I can just like run about. I can go and see Lewis for a bit because he's back there on the drums, on his own. I like to go and keep him company for a while. Or there's like a bit in the set where I usually do vocals because I do them on the album, but I don't get a mic stand because too many mic stands on the stage where we're throwing ourselves around. It's just like
You're asking for trouble, yeah.
I've just started getting Mills to like pass me the mic so I can have a yell. That's always nice. Get a bit of aggression out.
Yeah, I noticed that at Takedown, and that was a really, really sick moment where
it's really fun, like really fun. And it's just nice like looking around and seeing like my best friends having a sick time. Or even if it's something like Will unplugging my guitar by accident or me bashing him in the head with my bass, it's still, it's good fun.
By accident, you say?
Yeah, by accident, yeah.
Another thing that sort of stands out live and throughout sort of the visual representation of the album is the color schemes. You've got Jamila in this really bright, beautiful orange, the rest of you in white. Where did that sort of come from? Where did the influences for that and the idea for that first come from?
We wanted to make like a big impact with what we're doing visually, like aesthetically throughout the album, like in terms of the art, the live performance. We wanted to make sure it was curated, just so it make our message like have more impact, make people connect with the music more. I like it when bands have thought about the whole production. Like it's sick to seeing bands playing like sweaty basements and stuff, but I think it is good to have like a bigger vision of everything. One of the big ones for us was Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads live show, with the massive oversized suits,
Yeah.
and the weird dancing. So that's where we took like inspiration for the white shirts, grey suit trousers. Like, thankfully, we didn't decide to wear suit jackets because I think I'd sweat to death up there. And then that was us in the background, and Mills really just being the focal point. And we looked at different things. The color that made sense was orange. Once we got the album artwork done, we knew that it was like, yeah, we just continue this through. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing every time, but some like variations on that theme.
Do you think about already how the visual presentation might evolve, sort of maybe into the next album cycle and beyond, or are you guys not even think about that yet?
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking about it. It really, I think, depends what the next record sounds like, which we haven't decided 100% on yet. We're working things out. This like came together so organically, like it didn't feel forced. It was just like, oh, this is what we're doing. Yeah, sick. That makes sense. So I don't know what it will be next time. If it will be a huge departure, if it will just be tweaks. We'll just see how things develop.
Awesome. Let's move on to your perfect gig. Who is band number 2?
So band number 2, and I might get some flack for putting them on this early, but in my mind, it's like I like short shows. So even if I've got bands playing like longer stuff, saying like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, hard, like limit on the sets. 4 bands. I'm getting old. I can't deal with too many. But yeah, the next one is Botch. Obviously, if you listen to our band, you can tell they're an influence. They've been like an influence on everything I've done in other bands. I think just like one of the all-time greats. So influential. I don't think any like modern sort of noisy metalcore would be what it is without Botch. And yeah, I would just love to see them. I know they're back doing shows now, so I might get a chance. But just in case I don't, I'll put them on. I'll put them on here.
I guess the same question here is: do you have any preference on their set, any particular songs, or maybe an album in full that you'd want to hear?
I mean, We Are the Romans in full would be pretty spicy. I would actually allow the longer than 20 minutes rule if they were going to do that. Like that'd be amazing. I watched that live DVD they did obsessively. I used to watch it like 2-3 times a week. Sometimes with the commentary on just to be like get the vibe of this band down. Like they're just truly like phenomenal. And yeah, I just hope that these reunion shows are like are sick because that would be a bummer if they weren't.
That's one thing that I think bands need to be doing more of is live DVDs, because it was definitely a thing in sort of the early 2000s especially. And there's nothing quite like having that live DVD that you're obsessed with and just watching it over and over and over again.
It's so good. I had a bunch of like Hellfest DVDs and like other ones where it's like Ferret put them out or Trustkill. It'd be like a combination of like live clips, music videos, and stuff. I used to love that stuff. Did you ever go to any of those shows where they'd have the people at the back who would, once the show was over, would like instantly print CDs of the performance?
No,
Did you ever see that? It was like a thing
no.
for a little while. So I remember getting like an Alexis on Fire one when they played the Academy in Manchester in like 2008 or something like that. And it was weird because it was literally you just went there, they pressed it, they already had the artwork and CD like covers printed out. So just hand you this thing, and I made sure to pick that up because I got a mic grab on it, and I was like, yeah, let's go. This is my first like released bit of music, so.
It sounds a bit like when you go on a roller coaster at Alton Towers and you like race to the photo booth afterwards to just like see, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's it. Just be like, this is a moment in time that's been captured. Like my first ever technically like recorded vocal performance. So
Awesome.
So you guys have always been quite outspoken and big advocates for looking after your mental health, particularly when on tour. Do you guys have any kind of advice when it comes to that?
yeah, I mean it's going to be different for everyone. There's no like one size fit all approach to like dealing with your mental health. I think like the biggest thing you can have is like open communication. You know, if you trust the people that you're touring with, you know, your friends, they should be, you know, your good friends. Then knowing when to say, you know, I'm not doing so well, you know, you could use some support, or even just telling them to piss off for a bit so that you can have some quiet. I think that's really, really important. Don't sesh like all the time. Don't be like hammered all the time. It's bad for your performances, but it's going to be really bad for your mental health. If you've got to do every single day hungover, that's going to be brutal because they're awful anyway.
Yeah, especially if you're like in a van, I imagine it must be a
Exactly, yeah. If you know you've got like a 10-hour van drive and then sit in a venue like sweating and sound checking, like the last thing you want to do is do that hungover on a come down or anything. So I'd say, yeah, have a few drinks, you know, relax, chill out, you know, maybe party a couple of times. That's cool. But just, yeah, be aware of the effects that that's going to have on you if you're just doing it all the time. Have something that's good for like self-care for yourself. Like if you know, going for a little walk on your own, like our merch person was like going and checking out some graveyards and doing goth shit, and that really worked for them. So that's good. I had like books that I'd read if I needed like some quiet time, or you know, just like squirrel myself away for a little bit. Also try and do some other fun stuff together if you can. You know, we played some board games, cards, that sort of stuff. I think essentially what you'd do if you were stuck on a desert island to stop yourself going crazy, because it feels like that sometimes.
Another question I've got regarding touring actually is you guys spend a lot of time on the road. So what's the best UK service station you've ever been to?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, to be honest, I'm probably not the best person to ask this to because I usually go in and get myself like a black coffee and a pack of cigs.
Not much of a service station connoisseur.
No, like they're getting better now. Like a lot of them used to be like terrible for vegan stuff, and even some of the I know there's like really fancy ones. They've got like a little farmers market and they've got the picnic tables and stuff. But they're usually not like in terms of vegan stuff. You're still just going to get the same stuff from anywhere. I used to always say, you know, wherever I had like, oh, an M&S food's great because I can get like, well, you know, little supermarkets, I can get some fruit or some veg. That'd be amazing because it'd be like, it used to be bread and hummus, as every rider or catering, and then chips from a takeaway, and then just rinse and repeat for 10 days. But now, yeah, it's just wherever's got, some nice coffee, a little place to sit outside if it's sunny. That's going to be it for me.
Let's get back into this perfect gig then, shall we? Band number 3.
Band number 3, yeah. So this again, another band that I've not seen. Had like 2 pretty heavy bands so far, and I'm not going to break that completely. But I was like, let's calm down a little bit. Let's vibe for a bit. Like let my black eyes sort of like fade in properly, like really get them looking good, and put Envy on.
Nice.
Like, yeah, amazing. Like, I tell people that they're my favorite post rock band, and that annoys people because they say they're not a post rock band, but shut up, they are. And they're just so good. Like I love like the fusion of like 2 genres done really well, and I think having the sort of screamo scram stuff and that post rock is amazing. Like in my mind, Death Heaven wouldn't be around if Envy hadn't been. Because when I first heard Death Heaven, I was just like, oh, it's Envy with blasts. That's sick. That's
Yeah.
so good. And then Envy put a blast on a song, and I was just like, whoa, everything's going like full circle. But yeah, they're just so good. I think they had a change of lineup. So if the old vocalist wants to come back and do some songs with them, just so I can get the full experience, then amazing.
It's your perfect gig. If you want that to happen, we can make it happen.
I would be. I'd be pretty okay with that happening. They just just such a sick band. I'd love to get a chance to see them. And yeah, I've never been able to make it work. They've come over quite a few times, and I just never managed to do it. It's like stuck at work or on tour. So I'd love to.
Any specifics for their set, or mostly old stuff with the original vocalist?
Yeah, I mean, probably Insomniac Those is my favorite album of theirs. That's in like 2005, 2006 or something. So probably stuff from that and A Dead Sinking Story, which was the one or two before that. They're just perfect records in my opinion. I would, like I said, there's not many bands that I would listen to for that long live, because I'm old, I've got ADD, I can't be bothered. I get confined when I'm like stuck in a crowd. But I think I could if they did those 2 back to back, I think I could do it. But I think if I put that on a 4-band bill, I'd actually lose my mind before the last set.
To bring it back to They Fear Us, we can't talk about that album without talking about Hold Be Held. It's I think maybe one of the most like uplifting songs in the scene in recent years. And I'm curious how you guys sort of approach the writing of a song like that, especially in comparison to the rest of the album, and where the sort of influences you're pulling from for that song.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, he's probably the main songwriter. Well, definitely is a songwriter. Him and Lewis do a lot of the stuff together. And he just sent us like a little audio clip one day, which is like, bear with me on this one. And it was, the beginning of that song, not like fully fleshed out or anything, but just like the bones of it. And it was so cool, so different. Just like that. I always think it sounds like this would be playing in John Hughes, like 80s prom. The working title, I'm sure I'm allowed to reveal this, was Dog Prom, a prom for dogs from Bob's Burgers. So that was like I don't know if that was his inspiration. I think a lot of it's come from like R&B and like soul and stuff, and then obviously we got gospel influences on there as well. But it did have that sort of feel to it, and we went to the studio, and we'll trust Sam so much. Like, I think that's one of the nicest things about joining this band, is that everyone does trust each other's opinions. Like if someone's super passionate about something, even if you're just like, I'm not 100% on it, then we'll hear you out, and we'll try and make it work. So we went into the studio and we laid down the instrumental, and then just like worked on the vocals and stuff from there, and ended up coming back and doing a couple other bits on it. And I wasn't there when the final bits of the vocals were recorded. Like it'd been a long session. We'd had to like split off into different ways. There'd been a car crash. There was loads of drama. Like towards the end, but not like internal drama or anything bad, but just like outside forces. So I didn't hear it till it was like all done. And
Wow.
it was just like one of those things where you just like play it immediately after listening to it. I was blown away. And yeah, just to me, it just made so much sense as like the last track on the album. I think having the 1-2 at the end there really lets you go on a journey. So I'm a big fan of like the big moody album ender. You know, if you're not crying at the end of a metalcore record, you're not listening to it properly. So,
and it works in such great contrast to what comes before it, because the front half of the album is so tense and aggressive that when you get to that big release at the end, it is a massive goosebump moment. And how are you feeling about playing it live? Because you guys are doing the full album in full later this year.
Yeah, November 25th, doing that at the Dome, which is going to be sick. I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a crazy show. I've never done anything like that before. Full album playthrough. I may have done in previous bands just because that's how many songs we had, and we would just play them in the order that we'd written them. But yeah, it's gonna be mad. Having like the live performances from the other musicians as well. It's gonna be crazy. Practice is gonna be a nightmare. Looking forward to that, and also not looking forward to it. But yeah, I think it's gonna be worth it. You don't get many chances to do something like this, you know.
Where did the idea first come from? Was it something you guys wanted since the album was finished, or is it sort of a recent idea?
It's something that like when we did it, like put the album out, like not even put it out, we got it all recorded, we'd had all the guest performances on it. It'd always been a thing sort of like, I'd be sick to do this live, you know, the whole thing, get everyone down on it. And then, you know, we sort of like mulled it over, looked at where we had spaces in our touring plans and stuff, and then, you know, spoke to us, sort of said, yeah, we're gonna do this. And they like helped us out so much getting it sorted. It's been cool, and now it's just getting ready for it.
Are there any particular songs on the album that you're kind of most looking forward to playing live? There might be some, I guess, that you've not played in the set before.
Yeah, I mean, the back half of the album is like pretty untapped for us. We've not really played much of it. I think it is Hold Behold. No, I think it's going to be at the end of that set, you know, and I know we're all going to put all of ourselves into it, having like that big cathartic thing at the end. Have a big cry on stage. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a surreal night. I was looking through some of the social media comments for you guys, and a lot of people are very excited for that song as well.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I can't imagine us putting that into our regular set rotation. Just being like, all right, cool. We've got, you know, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and we're going to take up a big chunk, maybe in the middle with this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you want to see that, I'd say get down.
I guess we'll get to the headliner of your perfect gig.
Okay, so this is a bit of a curveball. There's an internal logic for me, but maybe not. I just think after, like, even, you know, you've had the aggressive stuff, got MV, which is like chiller, but still screamy, still, you know, intense, like very emotional. I think what I'd want is like a big sexy dance. So I put Crosses as my headline band.
Nice, sweet.
I love Crosses. I love anything Chino does, and you know, he's an absolute daddy, and I just think I'd love to see them. I think at the end of all that, it's what you want. You know, the lights go down, it just gets vibey. Everyone just has a big dance. You know, perfect end to a night.
Big sexy dance. That is perfect. Any specifics for the set?
100% Bitches Brew, like, needs to be. I mean, they've not got a huge back catalogue to draw from, really. Only that one like main release, and then they've got the singles that have come out since. But yeah, just like do some extended versions of them. You know, really just like get weird with it. Anything that's like as witch housey as possible for the final bit.
Is there a song in particular you'd like to maybe jump on stage for a guest feature for?
Oh my God, I can't imagine doing a. I'll do some like guest backing dancing or something like that for Bitches Brew. But I feel like anyone trying to sing Chino's bits on that, you don't want to hear that. Like at other shows, hardcore shows, grab the mic, pop punk, whatever, have a sing along. But it's like, no, just let him cook.
Let him cook, absolutely.
So you guys have got a very busy festival season lined up. You're off to the US soon as well. Is there anything else we can expect from Ithaca in 2023?
Yeah, so we've got the US festivals. They've been booked. We're also going to be doing like US tour around that headline dates. They should be announced soon. I've not got all the details ready to put out there yet, but like just keep an eye out. That's going to be sick. Never been touring ever in the States, so I'm looking forward to that a lot. Got Roskilde, which is amazing, like big festival in Denmark. Lineup for that is dumb, like it's so stupid. Like I can't believe we're on with some of those bands. So we're just trying to see if we can get like weekend tickets to try and see as many people as possible. Then yeah, it's just seeing what pops up. We don't want to overload ourselves because we've got the Vera show coming up, so I need to make sure that is like spot on. So we actually need to get in and practice with all the other musicians and stuff. But then maybe something else in the back end of the year. Just keep an eye out. Yeah.
Sweet. You mentioned earlier sort of early ideas of formulating for the follow-up album. I'm curious because that people really love They Fear Us so much. I wonder if that puts more pressure on, or do you guys feel creatively sort of liberated because now you feel like, I guess, the boxes that Ithaca are in have been completely blown wide open? Do you feel a bit more creatively free with this new stuff?
I think it's a bit of both. We obviously it's been so well received, and you don't want your next album to not connect in the same way. But I think it's been so well received because we took a risk and we just did what we wanted. And I think that shines through. Like, I don't think it's because we did necessarily a specific thing that someone wanted us to do. I think it's just because you can tell that it's authentic and it's coming from a place where we're passionate about it. That's why it can connect with people. And there's like panic chords and stuff, and like some breakdowns. So I think those elements will always stay. But also, I'm not too worried because I'm not a primary songwriter, so I just play. Turn up. I wrote one riff on the song. It is on the album. It is hard, but I don't need to worry about doing all the other bits. I can just be like, yeah, Sam, that's really good, or not good enough, and then just like chill out.
Yeah, it's his problem. Let him worry about it. Yeah.
So has the writing begun for album 3 then? Has it, or are you still sort of forming some ideas?
Writing's begun. It's still sending bits and pieces back and forth. Got some a video while I was out getting a coffee yesterday. From Sam, so I was watching that and like, yeah, this is cool. So it'd be interesting to see what we've come up with. Like, hopefully, again, we can take that time and do those little getaways because I think it was a different way of writing, but I think it worked really well and it was really enriching. I live in Manchester, everyone else is in London, or I don't get to see them all the time, so it's a nice excuse to go and just like hang out with my bezies.
Where was your favourite place that you went away for one of those little writing breaks?
You know what? I could not tell you where we went on 2 or 3 of them. Could not tell you where any of them were. They were seaside, like coastal towns in off season, going and swimming in the sea in like March, nice. And freezing to death. But it was great. It's great. So just mostly saw the beach to the like little Airbnb that we're staying in, maybe an off license. And that was about all we did. But God, it was what we needed.
Cool. Well, Dom, your perfect gig. You've chosen Pulling Teeth, Botch, Envy, and Crosses. But where's it all taking place? What's your venue of choice?
Yeah. Do I want to have loads of people down there? Do I want to have really good sound? Do I want it to just be like really intimate? It's a difficult question. We've played some like really cool venues like recently that had great sound, and that's I think starting to sway me more around to that way. but it's going to be a weird choice. I just think there'll be a load of people that want to go down there. I just saw Tim Hecker here the other day, and it's going to be Fabric. The sound was just so wild at that, and I've not seen. I don't think anyone's seen like a hardcore show there before, but I know crosses are going to sound sick. And I also know there's like 5 bars that you can hang out in if you're not feeling it, which is important for people. You know, sometimes you can't watch every band, and like sometimes you need to like have a bit to yourself. So go and chill out in one of their little play area things. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a perfect gig to us. Nothing else to say, but thank you so much for your time, and we very much look forward to catching you guys at 2000 Trees.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a good one.
That was another great perfect gig. I'd go to that.
Yeah, I reckon I would as well.
And if you're an Ithaca fan, you can see them this summer in the UK at 2000 Trees and Burn It Down Festival, and at their special An Evening with Ithaca performance at the Dome in London this November. And for US fans, keep your eyes peeled for a tour sometime this year. I don't know when it's going to be.
Exciting. If you enjoyed this episode, why not check out the other ones as well? If you've enjoyed this episode, we've done loads of other perfect gigs with loads of other bands, so go and check them out. You can find them in a playlist on YouTube.
Sorry.
If you enjoyed this episode, well, there's plenty more where that came from. I'm going to do there's plenty more where that came from, just to warn you. If you enjoyed this episode, well, there's plenty more where that came from. We've spoken to loads of other bands. Go and check it out in the playlist on YouTube.
We also have a podcast every month where we talk about the latest news, music and trends and alternative music. And we vlog every gig and festival we go to, including this summer where we're going to Slam Dunk, Download, Trees. That's it.
Anyway, subscribe, come along for the ride, and there'll be more episodes like this to come as well.